Welcome to this clean multiplayer tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll show you how you can synchronize values in-game, in runtime, between players. Because as you know, this is one of the essential things in making an experience in your multiplayer game. So the guide which I'll be using to synchronize values in Photon would be this one, which is their part of their documentation where they talk about exactly that, how to synchronize and make networked properties. As you can see, it's quite simple. These are the allowed types. By the way, this link will be in the description if you want to check it out. These are all the variables which you can synchronize. And in this tutorial, I'll make a very simple showcase of how you can synchronize the health of a player, which is increased by pressing down a key. So very simple thing, but I'll just show you to get you to understand how this whole process works. So I've just gone ahead and opened the Clean Multiplayer Pro folder, and because I want to synchronize values of the players themselves, I'm going to open the player prefabs, which are here in this location. And in this case, I'm going to be customizing the red player prefab. You can customize any prefab which you like. And what I'll do is I'll just create a new script, which I'll call synchronizing values, like this. And Unity will go ahead and create it for me. There it is. I'll open it up in Visual Studio, and once we're inside of Visual Studio, you see that this is a mono behavior script, but here in the documentation they say to change it to network behavior. So let's go ahead and do that, like this. Is going to give out an error, which is because we need to be using Fusion. And now we can go ahead and delete these functions. And if we open back the documentation, you can see here this is for the health, as I said, the showcase. We can just go ahead and copy this. Again, you can sync using the networked statement. You can sync any variable, any type, which you can see in this list. In this case, it's a float, but it can be an int, it can be a bool, but I'll do a float. After this, I'll go ahead and copy over this public this function which increases the health. However, something to be careful with, because this template uses the shared mode of Fusion, they say here that we should be using update or fixed update. So let's change, because using the fixed update network doesn't work. So let's remove the override and let's change this to update. Oops, update. There you go. Now we also have to create this health regen value. Do this like this. I'll remove this part. And now what we've done here is we've created a script which just increases the health of the player, and the value is networked. However, I would like to display this value in some way, so I can show you how it would look in game. So I would do public text mesh pro UI. No, I'll call it label, and I'll make it to be using text mesh pro. So under this, I'll say that label dot text equals to health dot to string. There you go. So now what we have here is the networked value of health being displayed by the label, which is the health string. What I'll do now though is that I'll add something which isn't in the documentation but is very important if you're going to be handling inputs which decide whether the health is increased. So I'll make an if statement has state authority. This just means if the player is the local player and they control the object which this script is on. And I'll say that also if the input get key code H. So when we press H, and if we have the state authority, the health would be increased, and after that it would be displayed on the label. Alright, so this is the script which would basically do the whole networking, syncing the health value, and now I'll show you how to display it in the label. If we head back to the Unity editor and we go to the main object, scroll down and see the syncing value script, I'll just increase the health regen so that the value goes up if we press H. And now I'll make the label. So if we open player render, this is the canvas. This is where the text bubble is. Also the player name is here. And actually it's outside of that canvas, but yeah. But if we create a text within the canvas and call it health label, we will now have to make it smaller, much smaller. Let's copy these values over. Oops. There you go. Now let's paste them in. Alright, and we should also decrease the font size, like so, and to make the text small. I'll also put it at the bottom of the canvas. Now another thing is that because the player's prefabs are structured this way, everything is flipped. As you can see, if you're looking at it in 3D, in 2D I mean, everything is on the other side, UI wise. So we would have to rotate it 180 degrees so that it is the right way. So I'll call this health like so, and if we go back to 2D, I'll just decrease a bit the size. And so that's the label itself. Now let's set the variable, and there you go. Alright, so that's basically the whole process of setting up the synchronization of health, for example, which is decided upon the key press of H. And now I'll just test the game to show you how it looks like. If you go to build settings and then the project settings, here I recommend setting it to windowed and also enabling resizable window so that you can test multiple instances of your game and test the multiplayer out. Now I'll build it. I'll make a new folder, build, and let's see. Alright, so here's the game. I'll make it a bit smaller. There you go. Make another one. Now just make some name. I've chosen the red prefab as this is the one which I've customized. Now create a room, join that room, and you can see here it's 0 because we haven't pressed H yet. But if we control this instance, you can see it's 0 here. But if we press H, there you go. It's syncing the health, and the health is increasing based on the health regen which we set. So now if we go ahead and go to this instance, again 0 until I press H and it starts increasing, and again the value is completely synced with the with all of the instances in game. So this way, you know, you can synchronize any allowed types in runtime and really make your game an experience and allow players to interact with each other. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial.